if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling like things aren't happening fast enough as you're building your online business, I want to talk to you about the super simple business basic that most online entrepreneurs miss when building their businesses, and how you can use it to your advantage. And no, it's not Facebook ads. It's not the hottest, newest social media platform. And it is definitely not my super simple six-figure strategy. So let's dive in. My name is Christine McAllister. I'm the Huffington Post featured founder of Life with Passion, and I help high-achieving female entrepreneurs to quit and stay out of their jobs and build businesses and lives that they love. So this is actually something that came up in every one of my coaching calls today, and also in a connection call that I had today with my friend Ariana Sylvester of Family Entrepreneur Life. And I think that one of the things that happens when we are building our online business is that we get so inundated with all the ads and all the promises and all the 6 figures in 6 minutes and 7 figures in 7 minutes that we totally put this pressure on ourselves as high achievers to succeed and succeed yesterday. And we tell ourselves there's something wrong with us and that we're not allowed to say that we're successful if we're not where we want to be already. And while as high achievers, we're always going to have goals and we're always going to be searching for the next thing and reaching for that next big goal, and that's amazing, there's also a business building basic that does apply to online business as much as it applies to building a business that's brick and mortar or retail or has a physical presence. And so one of the things that Ariana and I were talking about this morning is how we both started businesses with a physical presence. Like she and her husband for a long time have run local businesses. They have 2 local businesses in their town in New York. And then of course I started my horse breeding business. I think it's been 10 years now. Wow, a decade of business. Oh my gosh. So maybe even 11. Yes, 11. My bear's 11, right? And one of the things we did not do when we started these businesses was to say to them, to those businesses and to ourselves as the owners of these businesses, you're going to make me money today. You're going to make me 5 figures tomorrow. And we said, oh, okay, like, where are we going to come up with the money, right? Where are we going to come up with the capital? Then we're going to invest tens of thousands of dollars in starting these businesses in the retail space, in the inventory, in, the board, right? In buying the horses with the right bloodlines, in stud fees, and just raising these mares and training and, staff and all of this stuff. And we expected it to take years to start to see a return. Not that it was never going to see a return, but we had this expectation that it was going to take years, right? And I think that in the online space, there is so often like this real frustration and real depression that comes in from so many of us when we click on an ad or we download a freebie and we hear a story about somebody who, 1 second made $100 and the next month had her first 6-figure month, right? Can I get an amen on that, right? And like we start to put this pressure on ourselves, like it has to look like that for us if we're going to have a successful business. Now, in some ways, in many ways, the online business opportunity is like, it's amazing, right? It's so amazing. And I'm so passionate about it. And this is my second 6-figure online business that I've built. And I love helping women build theirs. But I think there's a real way where we say to ourselves, like, it has to look like this. It has to look like this. If it doesn't look like everybody else, if I don't have overnight success, then I'm not successful. And I also think that like we're probably not people who think to ourselves, oh yeah, I expect overnight success, right? Like if you told me that, I'd be like, no, I'm willing to put in the work. But at the same time, I'm frustrated that my results don't look like, XYZ person at the very, very top of my industry, or who invested, 100 times more than me, right? So I think the important thing to remember is that what's the same about building a physical business, whether it's a boutique or, brick and mortar or something like a horse business, whatever, what's the same about building that kind of business and about building an online business is that as the business owner, like you get to make decisions that set yourself and the business up for the success on the timeline that you desire. And sometimes that looks different than going like, I'm going to figure it all out. I've got my hands on my chest like, oh, I look like Jeannie. But also I've got my hands crossed across my chest. Like, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out by myself, and I'm going to figure it out for free. Now, when I was young, my parents tell me that my most common phrase that I said the most often was, I do it. Now, it's probably going to come back to haunt me because I have a 1-year-old, right? So that's probably not too far down the road. But like, I do it, right? I've always had this really strong, independent, like, figure it out myself, FIO, right? Figure it out myself kind of streak. And I think that can be a huge asset for us as entrepreneurs, right? To the ability to figure it out, the desire to figure it out, the desire to DIY, the desire to build something from nothing. But I also think in the online space, so many of us get this all out of whack. And here's what I mean. I'm going to figure out exactly how she did it or exactly how he did it or whatever. I'm going to figure it out for free or super, super cheap. And I am going to make this work, and it's going to succeed really, really, really quickly, right? I'm going to, if they could do it, I could do it, right? And I think the thing is, a lot of us don't realize like that investments of some kind are the way to fast track your success, right? So Ariana owns a wine and liquor store. Good for her. Sounds delicious, right? And she's like, if she decided like, we're not going to find ways to get the capital, or we're not going to use our savings, or we're not going to take out a loan, or whatever they decided to do, like, and she was like, I just am going to build this like as I can on the side. Like, I'm going to order a case of wine here and there, right? Like, I'm not going to make the leap to signing a lease because I don't want to invest that money. Or, I mean, you fill in the blank, right? Like at a point they decided we're going to get to a critical mass where we can actually open a store and be ready to sell those physical products. We need physical products to sell. We need staff to help us, staff it every time that it's open. And we're not going to start selling cases of wine out of our back door. Not that you could, not that that would be legal, but like they realized they had a vision for it, and they realized like they were going to put the pieces in place to make it happen. And it's the same with online business. Okay. It's the same with online business. Like, I think a lot of times one of the things that I hear a lot is, I can't invest like in the support I know I need, let's say, to learn from an expert, to learn the things I feel like I need to learn. I can't invest until I start getting clients, or I can't say that I have a successful business until it's hit 6 figures, or I'm having regular 5-figure months or whatever. Like, I'm not allowed to help people until I've reached this certain standard, like, and charge for it. I'm not allowed to help people and charge for it. But the truth is that in those cases, we're putting pressure on our businesses that are actually going to stifle them from growing. And here's why. Because the reason you invest in something that you feel is going to fast track your success, whether it's a coach or a mentor or some other kind of support or a tool or whatever, it's not just to spend the money. It's because you believe that's going to help you get to where you want to be faster. It's going to earn a return on investment. And that is the super simple business basic that most online entrepreneurs miss when building their businesses. Okay. It's not that you should be using Facebook ads, or you got to jump over to Pinterest, or LinkedIn is the thing now, or YouTube is the tool now, right? Like, it's not any of those tools. Those tools are important, and it is possible to build a business as big as you want using any one of those tools. You don't have to use all of them if you don't want, but it comes back to being this thing about you and about how you show up and the attitude you have toward your business baby, right? It's like, are you feeding your baby, your business baby, the things that it's going to need to be healthy and to have that growth that you want it to have? Or are you looking at your business baby and going, you're not a grown adult yet. I'm mad at you about that. You must be wrong. I must be wrong. We all must be wrong. Let's go drink some wine. I'd love to hear if this is resonating with you at all. And I'd love to answer your questions if you have them about this, because I think it's such an important topic. And I just want to take a stand for women not feeling like there's something wrong with them because they haven't been able to figure out the exact path to whatever their big goals are yet, especially if you're DIYing it, right? Or especially if you're telling yourself a story about, I need all the clients before I can hire my dream coach, or before I can join that program that I want, right? Like, before I can do this, before I can do that, I just need to have more clients first, because it's kind of putting the cart before the horse. If you have not built a business online before, if you don't know what you're doing, and you show up one day, announce that you're doing this, selling this product, selling this service, and you're like, it should be happening for me, right? You don't know what you don't know. And an online business is still a business, right? It's still a business. You know, you probably wouldn't just walk up and be like, I'm opening a coffee shop, and expect that you would know everything about food permits and, regulations and, ordering in bulk and how to keep stuff fresh and staffing and point of sale payment systems and all of that. You wouldn't just know all of that off the top of your head. Signage, right? Cleanliness, blah, blah, blah. But I think there's a way where we expect ourselves to know everything immediately, always, and yesterday about starting a business. We have a desire to help other people, and that's so beautiful. And then we don't know what we don't know, but then we find a way to make ourselves feel like we're wrong for not knowing what we don't know. And because we can't figure it out on our own, or we look around at what other people are doing and we tell ourselves a story about why we can't do the same thing as them or why we wish we could, then we wind up putting ourselves into a depressed, wah wah kind of place. And that just doesn't need to be the case, right? I think that us giving ourselves the ability to ask what we need and then go and get that, whatever it is, most often in my line of work, I see people telling themselves they can't hire support because of money, right? But in your field, it might be something totally different, right? And I just think that because sometimes as women, we have a hard time spending money on ourselves, it somehow becomes a thing that's beyond a strategic investment for the business. In my case, to hire a coach, right? We tell ourselves some story about how we shouldn't need that because we're independent, because we're smart, because we have a degree, because we don't have a degree, but we learned from the school of hard knocks, but because we have a certification, or we don't have a certification, or we've learned all this stuff already, or we've done these things and it doesn't work for us, blah, 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 blah. We make up some story in our head about how because it's this type of an investment, because it's a service, because it's working with someone, we shouldn't have to need it. And so we keep ourselves from that. So what is that thing for you, right? Is it working with somebody you feel could really help you? Is it hiring somebody to do your branding? Is it hiring a VA, a virtual assistant? Is it, I don't know, bring in someone to clean your house? Could be so many different things that you might be telling yourself, I shouldn't have to need this in order to grow my business. But if you think about the difference in approach that an in-person retail-based entrepreneur has, like if you were going to start a clothing boutique, like my friend Emily Benson helps women do, or she helps them optimize their boutiques, like would you be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be there every time the doors open and I'm never going to hire any staff? Like probably not, right? Except that's what we do to ourselves, right? As online business owners. Would you tell yourself, oh, I'm just going to start with like one shirt, and when that sells, I'll buy some more? No, of course. Like you're going to staff this properly for the retail space. Or are you going to be like, I'm just going to rent this for a week and see how it goes. Like I'm just going to try it out. No, you're going to say, I'm going to do this thing. I'm doing this thing. Like what help do I need to make it happen? I'm doing this thing. And so in both ways, an in-person business and an online business are both longer games. And if you scale solidly, and if you scale like with scaling yourself as a person up, as you scale your business up, you're a lot less likely to be a sparkler that shines bright for 15 seconds and then disappears. Because we see that happen in this industry, especially because the online industry, online business has a super low barrier to entry, which is one of the most attractive things about it. Like anybody can hang their shingle out and be like, I'm selling this today. Who wants to buy it? Right? It's as easy as a Facebook post, which is easier for some people than others. But so any positive, any strength also comes with potential negative, a potential weakness, right? And so the other side of that is we think it should be as easy as showing up, I'm Christine, I'm selling stuff. And then they come, right? Build it and they will come. That is not how you build any kind of successful long-term business, but there's so much hype. There's so much, there's so many stories. There's so much, I was, whatever. I was going to like lose my house. And then all of a sudden, like I was a millionaire, I mean, I've heard that story like multiple times, right? And I know that's very attractive and that sells stuff. But the truth is there's so much more in that, like I was this and then I was this, right? I know the first coach that I worked with was making a ton of money, but guess what? She was investing almost all of that back into her own coach. Like the multiple six figures that she was making, she was investing right back into her own coach because she felt like that was the place to start for her at the beginning of her business to set her up for long-term success. So she had a very clear why of why she was making all this money. She's spending a ton of it on Facebook ads. She's spending a ton of it on her own coach. And so she was playing at a really high level, right? And so I think like that was investing to grow her business. So I don't want this to feel like a rant. I'd love to answer your questions. I'd love to hear your comments. Does this make sense? Or are you like, Christine, really? Like, I think it's pretty different. And I think you're missing the mark here. I'd love to hear from you, live or on the replay. Like, do you think this makes sense? Are you always trying to read between the lines like I am and going like, what? How? They make it sound so simple to like have made all this money, because the truth is it's never simple. It always requires the work, right? And when you invest, it's to speed up your timeline. Are you smart? Can you figure this out on your own? Yes. Do you want it to happen faster than it might take you to do all the trial and error and figuring it out on your own in the Google research? If so, that's when you hire support. That's when you get a tool that you think will help. That's when you hire the coach that you think will help. Like, that is when you say, I'm an empowered businesswoman. I'm the CEO of my own company. Like, this is going to help me grow my company and fund myself, because most of us love personal development if we're here, right? Then I believe this is a smart decision for me to make. I believe it's going to help me get where I want to be faster than going it alone, being like me as a little girl saying, I do it, right? So I think like if you look at the business basic of online or of in-person retailers, huge difference is that there's a lot more expectation that you're going to invest, that you're going to spend money in order to make it back, in order to grow the business. Now, while online business does not require the level of risk to get started, which is an amazing, amazing benefit of it, it doesn't mean that there's no investment required. It doesn't mean that it can't be smart to do that. It doesn't mean that you don't still have to show up for your business rather than expecting your business to, provide for you and be the end all be all from day one when you're just getting to know it and just building it. Thanks for watching. I'd really love to hear your thoughts around this conversation. Again, my name is Christine McAllister. I'm the founder of Life with Passion, and I look forward to hearing your insights on this. Have you found this to be true for you? Are you like, nope, that hasn't been true for me, and I did it this way? Share, and let's start a conversation around this. I think it's really, really important, and I think it's also important for us to learn to take the pressure off of ourselves and off of our business babies, and to help them and help us grow up into stronger, more capable people and businesses by treating them with the right kind of care and attention. I'll talk to you soon.